we're not going to go there. We're not going to do that. We have a different model. Our model is called the Upanishadic model because it comes from the Upanishads. Upa means near, and Anishada means sit down. So come here, sit down, and listen. That is the model of the esoteric teaching. Don't do anything distracting right now, please. No, don't bother. So the Upanishadic model means that the student has a personal relationship with a self-realized soul. And even though in the old days it meant that you go to where the guru is and you sit down with them and you live with them day and night, and by association you pick up on their spiritual qualities and the spiritual process, and in that way you approach self-realization. The Upanishads are basically a collection of questions and answers with a self-realized soul. So one should have the ability to ask good questions and get good answers. Not from dogma, but from realization. So like that, we are going to use technology to extend the presence of the self-realized soul of the guru of the esoteric teaching so that everyone can have access. And at the same time, we personally, physically, are going to create a situation where those who are qualified can have literally face-to-face interaction. In other words, we are going to establish a retreat in a rural location where we can live the lifestyle of the Vedic esoteric teaching 24 hours a day. And that's why we want to change the website so that it doesn't require so much of our personal effort and work to maintain. We had planned to do this sometime next year, and now those plans have become much more refined. We're talking about doing it by the middle of next year. So by the middle of next year, I will no longer be here in Mexico City. I will be out in the country somewhere, in a very isolated rural location. We'll still have internet. So we'll still have these gatherings once a week, or maybe twice a week. We'll still have the ability to do online spiritual counseling and like that. But we will not be living in a city location. We'll be living way out in the country someplace. The reason why is that it's very, very difficult to live a pure lifestyle in the city. Another reason is that we don't really want to create like a church or an organization or have big meetings all the time, and so we can do all that online. The internet has become a very powerful tool for communication that's available everywhere in the world now. Just a few years ago, it wasn't possible, but now it is. The technology is moving very fast, and it's becoming cheaper, better, faster, and more convenient to have online meetings like this one instead of face-to-face meetings. But when someone is qualified and they have a sincere desire, they can always come and stay with us at our retreat center, and they can actually learn how to do this process of spiritual life in our personal association. There will be a way that everyone can apply who wants to come here, and then we can work things out from there. But that's our main goal. For 2008, our goals are we want to complete the Jyotish course that we currently started. We want to make it the best Jyotish course on the web. It'll have hours and hours of video. It'll have all kinds of computer programs that you can play with. It'll be very complete. We also want to complete the Sri Vishnu Sahasranam podcast, make a online commentary on every single verse. There are 108 verses of the Vishnu Sahasranam itself. We've now completed the prologue. So our current posts are just wrapping up the prologue, and the future posts will actually start on the 1,000 names of Vishnu themselves. But we can complete that this year if we can do 2 or 3 posts a week. We also want to continue these weekly podcasts, and this will be the main vehicle for community interactions and also for asking really thoughtful questions about our teachings. The kind of questions that require a personal discussion, the kind of questions that require a self-realized soul to answer. We also want to complete the Jyoti program so that anyone can get a full astrological reading simply by keying in their birth data. Now, this is very important. And of course, we also want to complete the Ask Baba program. Actually, that's going very quickly, and it should be online by early to mid-January next year, just a few weeks from now. It's amazing. Steve and Uddhava are very smart, and they're helping me. I'm just sort of designing things, and they're implementing everything. And well, mostly Steve. Yeah, Uddhava doesn't have that much time, but everyone's who's been contributing in the project has just made incredible strides, and so we're making a lot of progress, more than I had anticipated. But the main goal that we want to attain for next year is to find a handful of really sincere disciples who are willing to come down here to Mexico and go off into a rural situation, a very simple living. We're going to be very austere. We're going to live like real sages out in the woods. Very simple lifestyle. Of course, we'll have one room that's full of computers. But we may have to power them with a windmill. Or, you know, hitch a cow to a treadmill or something. But somehow or other, we're going to continue the Internet Association. But I'm looking for a few good men. I'm looking for a few really sincere disciples whose goal is to attain liberation in this lifetime. If we live a very pure lifestyle in a very peaceful rural location, pretty much self-sufficient, natural, and like that, and we do intense sadhana, especially chanting the holy name, our standard will be 64 rounds a day. In other words, we will actually, most of the trend in Vaishnava organizations today is to reduce the sadhana. They reduce, like one group here in Mexico, they've reduced now to 4 rounds a day. 4 rounds a day. I mean, you can't even hardly wake up with 4 rounds. You know, it takes 16 rounds just to really wake up. And it takes about 48 rounds to really start tasting the nectar. And then the last 16 rounds is the icing on the cake, you know. If you've ever chanted 64 rounds, it's wonderful. Very powerful. And in a very short time, like a year or two, a person can become self-realized if they are following this process of Kirtaniya Sadahari,